Merry meet guys, welcome back to my channel. This will be my fourth video I am shooting today, so if you've seen a lot of videos go up where I'm in the same clothes, same kind of area, same type of day, that's kind of why. In this video, I wanted to review a book, so this is another episode of the Book Witch series. Today's book is going to be You Are Psychic by Debra Lynn Katz. I wanted, my other two books were, this is another book that I read a while back, and I use its techniques out of this book. But before I start talking about techniques, I'll explain what the book is. This book is basically a trainer's guide or a beginner's guide to how to develop your clairvoyant abilities, how to do clairvoyant readings, how to do to grow as a clairvoyant psychic. She believes, and I believe as well, I've taught classes on it, that everyone is psychic. Everyone has psychic abilities, some more so than others. But that does not make you less of a psychic. All you have to do is, like with any other muscle in your body, is to practice, train it, hone it, and you can be a fantastic psychic. You can see things, you can hear things, you can see spirits, you can feel sensations, do psychic readings, you name it. We have all these gifts that are latent within us, and she has tools on how to open up visually, psychically, psychic visually. It's probably still not the correct term, but she has tools in here to help you open up visually to psychic phenomenon. And this book really isn't how to see spirits. It's not focused on how to see spirits, but you can use the techniques in this book to see spirits, to see energy, to see subtle energy bodies, like the aura or energy cords, or and once you start developing a psychic ability, like I've said before, other abilities will come with it. So on a side note, the easiest psychic ability to harness and to practice is psychic sense of touch, since it is our largest organ. Our largest sensory organ is our skin. The next easiest is sight, because we are, as human beings, visual and audio people. So I would say touch being the top one, sight being the second one, and auditory being the third one, as the top three that we all have to some extent and are simple, if not difficult, to harness and to be able to grow as psychic selves. So with that set aside, this book, she goes, Debra Lynn Katz has a lot of other books too. She has a second follow-up book called Extraordinary Psychic, which is a fantastic book. And I will review that book too. But this book is basically, like I said, a beginner's guide as to what clairvoyance is, and her experiences, her stories, her going to a clairvoyant school out in California. They have a spiritual clairvoyant school where she would, with other classmates, perform readings for people, perform readings for teachers, and get the basic grounding knowledge. So when you're doing a reading, you have all these tools set in place. She gives you, in this book, a bunch of handy tools, and she calls it your psychic toolkit, that you can use, or you can use or should use. It's up to you. You don't have to use all of them. I don't use all of them, and I'm pretty confident in my psychic abilities, but a lot of them, they did help me when I first started out, and I still use them as refresher points. A lot of them, so she talks about grounding and centering. Her way of grounding is, it was very interesting when I first read about it, but it's actually make a good grounding cord out of from your root chakra or your feet, depending on if you're standing or sitting. Root chakra, see a cord linking you to the core of the earth and seeing all the excess energy going out of your body, down the cord like a vacuum, into the earth. And then she talks about centering. And then before you send her, she says destroy your grounding cord. So you see it explode. You see it go poof, or what, you see it vanish. And that's just so the energy can't come back up. So you can't just call it back up. That kind of seals in what you released. She talks about different techniques on how to ground. So she talks about grounding an entire room, which is very helpful if you are working a psychic cleansing, or if there's so much chaotic energy in a room while you're doing a reading and you just need to ground the entire space. It's very forceful, and it does take a lot of concentration, but it can be done, and it can make an impact on your reading or on your practice. If you don't have a smudge stick or whatever, you can ground the room. And what you do is you visualize that room that you're in having a steel or a concrete tube that's connected all the way down to the earth, and you see all the bad or excess energy vortexed like a whirlpool or a black hole sucked into the sphere and down to the earth, and then you destroy the tube or portal or whatever, and you see it gone. And then you call in energy to replace it, like positive vibes, cleansing energy, healing energy, clarity, things like that. She talks about self-energizing, so calling in your own energy, or calling in energy of, not your own energy, because you don't want to use your own energy. When you do psychic readings, you'll have burnout. Calling in the energy of different, of like the sun, of the source, God, the source of all, calling in the energy. Then those are the first two tools. The second tool is neutrality. Learning to be neutral and not to be biased when you're doing a clairvoyant reading. It's very hard to do if you are not used to that sense, and being the neutral party, and be in the I'm not going to go for his say or her say, because that can, if you stand on one side or the other, it's hard to get an accurate reading. Excuse me. It's my mom. Little family history, sorry. So, and then the fourth tool is running earth and cosmic energies, which is what pagan practitioners and energy workers call centering. So growing your roots and growing your tree branches is how I look at it, and pulling in the energy from the cosmos and of the earth up into your solar plexus, and have that running throughout your system. And that's the energy that you use to call forth images or bring forth the visual aspects that you're relaying to your client or to yourself. She talks about different methods also in here on how to clairvoyantly read situations for yourself as well as for others. Let's see. So we keep going on the toolkit. Second toolkit number 5 is creating and maintaining boundaries. It's very important in a psychic reading, at least by what she says, by any kind of work like this, is to have a shield up or any kind of boundary, that you not let someone overstep them, because that can harm you energetically. They could drain a lot of your energy, or they could just knock you off balance. The next tool is creating and destroying, and this tool is it's interesting because how she does her readings and how she explains to do clairvoyant readings in this book is you're sitting back in a theater and you have a movie screen or a chalkboard or whatever, and you create a viewing receptacle. So you have this screen, and then in front of the screen you have either a crystal ball. She uses the image of a crystal rose, which I find it's it's not difficult. It's just it doesn't click with me. So I use a crystal ball or a mirror, and through that mirror, you call in the energy of the situation, and you watch um, as the energy changes and morphs to relay you a message. And off the colors, the way the energy is shifting, maybe visual or audio um, messages will play. Maybe you'll see a movie. Maybe you'll see just sporadic pictures through the viewing device. That is how she interprets or how she goes about doing a psychic reading. And once you are finished with that, you thank the energies and destroy the viewing receptacle. So the viewing receptacle no longer plays any part of your mind, so you're not attached to that energy anymore. You just let it go. So it is very important with doing this side of things to create something that's safe for you to see the energy in a mode of neutrality, so you don't have bias toward anything. You're just a onlooker, like a third party. You're seeing things play out. You're relaying the message to the client or the person who asked for it, or yourself. You know, you're either seeing this or writing it down or speaking it out loud on a tape recorder. And then at the end of the session, when you feel that there's nothing else that can come through, when it blanks out, you psychically destroy it. You can either see it explode, you can see it melt, you can see it ground into a grounding cord, but after you destroy it, you do need to ground the excess energy. So, destroying it and seeing it being vacuumed up or swept away or what have you. She says that's very important to, giving giving good readings is how to visualize those things in your mind. And then those are the 6 tools that she talks about, and they're very basic, and they build upon one another. Then she talks about learning how to read for yourself, like read yourself, like working through the energy through your chakras, how to, she talks about prayer being a really good aspect into enhancing your gift. Talks about creating a reading screen, which is what I just told you. You have a reading screen, kind of like a blank canvas, and then in front of the blank canvas, you have your reading receptacle, which is a receptacle, like I said, the crystal or a crystal ball or a crystal or whatever. It does seem complicated to begin with. These steps, for me, when I first started, they helped me out a lot to kind of gain focus and see things instead of just random images going back and forth in my mind. They were a way of centering and stabilizing those energies into one spot where I would be able to gain information without it being gibberish or chaotic, I guess you could say. Let's see. Then she talks about how she sets up a reading for a person, setting the intention, a location, a safe location. Particularly when you start out, you want it to be a quiet location, somewhere where there's not really a lot of people, so you don't have energy of others kind of picking up in there. I know as a tarot reader or as a card reader, when I first started out, I kind of wanted it to be, meet at a local coffee shop and, have other people around me, but be in a secluded area where there's not a lot of people, like in my, that's like cluttered up near me. Now it really doesn't bother me going into other areas of different places, like going into a bookstore or going into crowded coffee shops or restaurants or whatever and doing readings for people. I'm able to hone in and focus on the person in front of me instead of connecting with everyone else. She talks about in here when you're reading for someone that you should not analyze. You should see everything when you see something, don't try to understand its meaning. Don't do it. Just speak what you see clearly. Doesn't matter. And then once you're out of it, then you can go back through, and you and the person you're reading for yourself can go back and analyze it by itself. But don't be the analyzer while you're getting the images, because then you'll block yourself from getting more images or more information. She talks about sending energy to people to see if they're open. Some people are skeptics. As we all know, some people are skeptics to psychic abilities and psychic and magical practitioners. So she has a technique in here of sending a hello bubble or hello balloon or a flower or a bird bubble of energy to the person to see if they receive it. And if they receive it and you see them receive it, when you have your eyes closed. Because most of these readings happen when your eyes are closed and you're telling the person what you're seeing. Um, and then when you get better at it, you can do it with your eyes open, but just what's more comfortable to you. I find that having my eyes closed helps me focus from visual stimuli, visual things around me. I can focus more on what needs to be said. But sending the energy bubble or whatever to say a hello, and you see them receive it means that they're open to the information and they're willing to share their energy with you so you can help them grow. If they don't receive it, you can try and get as much information out of their energy as possible, because that's what clairvoyance, her type of clairvoyant reading does, is it pulls on the energy of the person and their situations, and it kind of answers questions they may have, or offers healing or things like that. And she goes further on in here to talk about reading for groups and couples, or reading with other clairvoyants, and clairvoyant healing, which I think she talks about in her second book, not her first book. But I shall see. Hold on. She talks about psychic ethics, how that everything you see is not set in stone, and then she talks about the psychic minority, and the business of spirituality, to charge or not to charge. And that could be a whole episode in and of itself. And then the last couple chapters is finding a clairvoyant for yourself, or finding a reader for yourself, because sometimes you just can't do a psychic reading for yourself, just because of certain situations or certain circumstances. You can't get an unbiased opinion about a situation you're in if you're too emotionally involved into it. That's why it's also really hard to read for friends and family if you know what the situation is, because you can be biased toward that situation. And the last chapter is clairvoyant training schools. So how you can, and some schools of thought, and how to, and in part of her ethics, she talks about identifying fraud in a psychic reader, identifying if they are true or not, and different ways to do that. But sometimes the psychic reader can have a bad day. We're human, and just not pick anything up. That doesn't mean they're a fraud, but it just means that they're just having a bad day. But that is my book review. I hope you guys enjoyed. It is a fantastic book if you are interested in becoming more clairvoyantly open. I recommend it. There's tons of books out there on developing psychic abilities, and I do have a lot of them. But when it comes to training your clairvoyance, or training to be a clairvoyant reader, there's only a few books on the market that focus specifically on clairvoyant abilities. This one, in her book Extraordinary Psychic, by Debra Lynn Katz, I'll put the link to this book from Amazon in the description box. The Art of Clairvoyant Reading and Healing. So she does talk about clairvoyant healing. Should get used to this by now. But I paid full price for this. It's $16.95 US and $18.95 in Canada. I bought it at Books A Million. I think you can buy them at Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or Amazon. I'll have, like I said, I'll have the link below. If you're looking to get some different techniques and maybe hone or harness your clairvoyant abilities to help others or help yourself. I mean, there's no, you can use it for yourself. You don't have to be a reader for others. You can just use your clairvoyant abilities to help you live a better life. That's cool. No judgment, whatever. It doesn't, that for me, that's a whole nother thing on ethics, and that's not what this video is about. So I apologize. So that is my book review on Your Psychic by Debra Lynn Katz. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or anything about the book, and when we go into further detail, this is actually my longest video for the Book Witch series, but hope you guys have a great weekend, and until the next video, many blessings.